Most people know about the incredible Donkey Kong Country game series, but the Donkey Kong Country animated series seems to be a bit more lost to time. The first Donkey Kong Country game was released in the United States in November of 1994. The game's success would usher in two sequel games for the same system. Donkey Kong Country 2, my personal favorite, was released a year later at the end of 1995, and Donkey Kong Country 3 would follow this pattern and was released in November of 1996. Years later, in 2010 and 2014, respectively, more additions to the series were added in the forms of Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Notably, the Donkey Kong Country games have an incredible soundtrack, so shout out to Dave Wise and others who contributed to that. Donkey Kong Country, the TV series, would air in 1996, basing its world and characters off of the original Donkey Kong Country. It first appeared in France, but would air for the first time in the United States on August 15, 1998. There were two seasons of the show, and it concluded in the year 2000. In November of 1999, four episodes of the series were collated into a feature-length anthology film which was released on VHS. This was entitled Donkey Kong Country: The Legend of the Crystal Coconut, and this is what I'm going to be talking about today. I remember watching this tape, and I believe my older siblings would either rent it from Blockbuster or perhaps they obtained an actual copy for us somehow. But the film and its original series that it comes from features songs that are incorporated throughout the story. Two songs per episode generally. Those songs are actually fire, and I still listen to them. In fact, hearing them pop up on my playlist the other day is what inspired me to make this video. Before I get into discussing the plot of the film, I wanted to add this interesting thing that I came across while looking into it. Apparently, this series was the first television series to be primarily animated with motion capture technology, with over 70% of the character animations being done this way. This means that they had real live performers acting out the characters' movements IRL, something that these days most people are familiar with, but at the time it was still a bit groundbreaking, and I thought this detail was interesting. Okay, so what is this story actually about? We open to Inka Dinka Doo declaring that the time has come. We cut to see Diddy and Donkey Kong being silly little guys at Cranky's treehouse. We learn about the crystal coconut, which seems to have mysterious magical powers. Cranky proceeds to tell the younger Kongs an abbreviated history of the legend of the crystal coconut. Captain Scurvy's great-great-great-grandpappy stole the coconut and then stashed it in the eye of Inka Dinka Doo. Donkey Kong then found the coconut and was declared the future ruler of Congo Bongo. That is basically what Cranky tells them. Donkey Kong wants to know why he was chosen, and he wants to learn all of the secrets that the crystal coconut has. Cranky urges him that it will happen in good time, but Donkey Kong doesn't want to wait and goes to see Inka Dinka Doo, and we get the first musical number of the film. The song reveals Inka's message: to know everything, one must give up everything. With Diddy's partially joking recommendation, Donkey Kong decides he must give away the crystal coconut. We cut to King K. Rool and his henchmen, Krusha and General Clump. The general gives over the crystal coconut to K. Rool after he had gotten it from Donkey Kong. Abrupt cut to Captain Scurvy, and we get the epic song Pirate Scorn. We meet Captain Scurvy and his two mates through this number. We also learn that they are on their way to retrieve the crystal coconut as well. The pirates were honestly my favorite as a kid. Scurvy is also sporting a terrible toothache, which will come back into play. Back to Donkey Kong, he checks in with Inka and realizes that giving away the coconut was not what Inka Dinka had in mind. Cranky is rightfully pissed when they tell him, and the Kongs get interrupted by the pirates at this point. A fun line that Diddy says, I just love the way he says it, to the pirates, he goes, "You're pure scum." Scurvy continues to spout about the sanctity of the pirate oath and demands the coconut. Back at K. Rool's, Krusha reveals that Donkey Kong had freely given the coconut to them, so K. Rool freaks out and rejects it, assuming it to be a trick. He demands Clump and Krusha give the coconut back. Song sequence number 2 is a fun one, and we see the different groups of people, the henchmen, the pirates, and Donkey Kong, all running around in the jungle attempting to either retrieve or dispose of the coconut. Donkey Kong busts into K. Rool's, who is now currently alone, and demands the coconut back. Captain Scurvy joins as well. They now all three want the coconut as K. Rool realizes, oh, it wasn't a trick. Scurvy and Donkey Kong race back to Cranky when they learn that K. Rool had ordered for the coconut to be returned. Back at Cranky's, he now assumes the coconut being given to them is a trick, so he and Diddy kind of zanily defend the treehouse. Eventually, Cranky accepts the coconut and does this weird astral projection kind of thing that he can apparently do. I realized later that this was tied to the coconut, but at first I was like, when did Cranky get these powers? He communicates with Donkey Kong and gets him to return home. This leaves Diddy alone, so he goes to hide the coconut while K. Rool contacts his men and orders them to bring the coconut back. Cranky rematerializes near Diddy, near Inka Dinka Doo, and the pirates and Donkey Kong arrive. There is some light fighting, which results in Donkey Kong knocking out Scurvy's tooth, which then makes Scurvy indebted to Donkey Kong as per his pirate oath, so the coconut is then quickly returned to the Kongs. The lesson of this little part, as Cranky hammers home, is that sometimes we aren't ready for the things we want or the things we want to know. Donkey Kong is not yet in the right place in life to know all of the secrets of the crystal coconut and be the leader of Congo Bongo. Everything in divine timing, as they say. Though I do relate to Donkey Kong in this because sometimes, I also don't want to wait. But looking back, we'll be able to see why things had to be the way they had to be, when they had to be. But anyway, Donkey Kong promises Inka that he will be back at the right time, to which the totem replies, whatever, which I kind of love. Cut ahead, and we get a Donkey Kong voiceover saying that the enemy parties had left empty-handed, and we flash forward a bit to Donkey Kong and Diddy playing in the jungle with banana phones. Clump and Crusha hide in the bushes, planning to steal a banana phone in order to eavesdrop on the Kongs. Donkey Kong and Diddy find an amulet, and while they are distracted, they see that the others are absconding with the banana phone. The Kongs plan to play jokes on them in revenge. They discuss the magical amulet and discuss hiding it in the forbidden forest of Congo Bongo. They go back to Cranky to tell him about all of this, but he tells them that the amulet is actually pure evil and to go hide it in the Well of Woe within the forbidden forest. DK is scared of a potential bog monster sighting, and Diddy kind of roasts him for this nonstop. Back at sea, my childhood favorite of the songs, Booty Boogie, is performed by Captain Scurvy and crew. Clump and Crusha continue their pursuit as well. Back to the Kongs, Diddy continues scaring Donkey, and Cranky is watching and laughing from afar. Turns out he was lying about the amulet in order to get back at them for their pranks. He explains this to Funky, who shows up, and I feel a spiritual connection to him. He tells Cranky that he is incurring bad karma for this prank. K. Rool actually overheard all of Cranky's explanation via the banana phone, and he tries to call back his men, but they are stuck in quicksand / a bog, so he has a fine I'll do it myself moment. Back to Funky and Cranky, we learn that the pirates are back. Funky is in charge of the coconut while Cranky goes to astrally project to warn the others. The pirates arrive with bad vibes, but Funky, quote, has cosmic jurisdiction to assign mantras, so he can help them if they just get cosmically cleansed and clear out their chakras. Really, this is my man right here. He gets stuffed into a barrel for his troubles, and we cut back to the other Kongs, and we get a little ditty, about the big bog monster. Cranky then appears and urges them to return quickly. They do, only to find the coconut gone, and Funky, still in his barrel, tells them about the pirates. They leave Funky but take his plane to go find the ship as Cranky rematerializes on the ship with the pirates. K. Rool arrives at the Kong's treehouse only to hear from Funky that he is too late. Poor Funky is bummed out big time from all the negativity, and again, I feel that. K. Rool heads to retrieve his henchmen and uses the banana phone to trick Scurvy into looking for the fake magical amulet in the forest. The plane lands near the ship, only for the Kongs to be told by Cranky to turn around and follow Scurvy. Speaking of, Scurvy is now facing off with K. Rool, and they exchange the amulet and crystal coconut. The Kongs trick Scurvy into being scared by the fake bog monster, but K. Rool remains unfazed, until he then sinks in the bog. allowing Donkey Kong to take back the coconut. Back at the treehouse, they finally release Funky from the barrel, and it turns out the amulet in question earlier is actually Funky's hood ornament. This leads to the theme of this little segment, karma, and what goes around comes around. Another Donkey Kong voiceover, and we cut to another day. Donkey Kong suffers a fall, and his memory is seemingly gone from this. He can't remember Diddy nor himself. We get a little scene of Candy Kong, who is waiting for her confirmed boyfriend Donkey, who is late for their date. This version of Donkey Kong honestly doesn't seem to be mature enough for a relationship, just a side observation. We see the pirates digging up buried treasure when Donkey wanders by. Scurvy tells him he is Donkey Croc, first mate of the pirate ship. Cranky tells Diddy to take Funky's plane to go search for Donkey Kong. Back on the ship, we get another song as Scurvy tells Donkey Kong about being a pirate. He then orders him to retrieve the crystal coconut. From the air, Diddy and Funky spot the pirates and head back to warn Cranky. Meanwhile, Donkey Croc goes thieving as we see various characters being stolen from, to include Candy, Eddie, who was in other episodes in this series that I actually remember, but he is not otherwise in this film, and K. Rool. He then shows up at the treehouse, takes the coconut, and steals the plane. K. Rool observes Donkey Kong's identity confusion and schemes to use this to his advantage. Meanwhile, Cranky goes to Candy to fill her in on Donkey Kong's situation. K. Rool then encounters Donkey Croc in the jungle and tells him that he is actually Donkey Rool. He hammers this home via a pretty good song and requests that the crystal coconut be brought back to him. Diddy and Funky stop Donkey Kong and try to jog his memory, but to no avail. Cranky and Candy then intercept and also fail at getting him to remember things, but Candy knocks him into a tree and coconuts fall on his head, bringing back his memories. Donkey Kong returns to the pirates, tricking them and taking back the crystal coconut. He goes to K. Rool, tricking him as well. This segment ends with the Kongs in possession of the crystal coconut, and this lesson appears to be like not to litter, as Donkey Kong should have picked up his banana peels, thus saving him from falling and losing his memories in the first place. Meanwhile, Scurvy and K. Rool fall into the trap that Donkey Kong had set, actually tripping on more banana peels, and they lose their memories, thinking that they are monkeys. Okay, so I get the full circle humor aspect here, and I can appreciate that, but A, this seems like overkill for revenge, and B, I spoke about this in my video on the Emperor's New Groove, but basically I get low-key peeved when apes are called monkeys, and vice versa, really, because that is just not true. They are different things. So essentially, monkeys have tails, so Diddy is a monkey, but apes do not have tails, so Donkey Kong is an ape. My anthropology and primatology background just does not allow for this misinformation to spread. But anyway, we move on to the last part of the film. Things are quiet on Congo Bongo. That is until Captain Scurvy returns and attacks Crankies, demanding the crystal coconut. They are interrupted by Donkey and Diddy, and the pirates scamper away. Unfortunately for the Kongs, K. Rool also launches an attack and is successful in retrieving the crystal coconut. We then cut to a barrel factory where Candy is working. Bluster arrives and annoys her, and he is another character that is in the larger Donkey Kong Country animated series, but is not otherwise really shown in this film beyond this segment. K. Rool arrives, coconut in hand, and takes control of the factory in order to manufacture exploding barrels. Donkey Kong and Diddy arrive at the factory to confront K. Rool. Barrels go boom, and we then see a chase scene on mine carts. Bluster has a brave moment confronting K. Rool and Clump, but K. Rool takes care of him and knocks him off the cart. K. Rool and Clump end up getting away, but without the coconut, as Bluster arrives back to Diddy and Donkey with the coconut. They take it back to Cranky, who refuses to let them all in, which we see is because the pirates are actually hiding inside. Scurvy gets the coconut and they run off. Donkey and Diddy take the plane to find the ship yet again, and Funky drops them off onto the pirate ship. They are immediately caught and locked away in barrels. Also, yes, this scene was already shown via a flashback from the previous segment/episode, but the editing of the film, that's just how it is. Anyway, in the barrels, a claptrap sings about his woes of scurvy taking his teeth. I really love this little guy and his song. He lets Donkey Kong out, who then gorges on bananas in order to gain energy. They take on Captain Scurvy and crew, and the claptrap ends up in the crow's nest, taking back his teeth, and he proceeds to eat Scurvy's entire ship, leaving the pirate crew all washed up and landlocked. We end the film with a nice sunset scene. Donkey Kong and Diddy are holding the coconut, and it ends on the claptrap appearing and laughing. The end. So, overall, I really liked this, and I 100% recommend watching it, but I'm not gonna lie, I found it a bit difficult to fully get back into when I first attempted to rewatch it. My personal nostalgic attachment is more to the songs rather than the story, but I do enjoy it. It is very obviously different episodes tied in together, but it does work, especially if you have no other exposure to the series, as was the case for myself and many Americans at the time of this film's release. I also realized that I've never actually watched the entirety of the film before. I was mostly just like sitting in the room and hanging around while my older siblings would watch it, but the songs, as I mentioned, I have been listening to for decades, and those are deeply ingrained in my mind. And dare I say, my heart. There is a lot of humor and just Donkey Kong coded language and themes in this film that I didn't explicitly discuss or quote, but I wanted to point it out because I really enjoyed it. There was clearly a lot of effort and care that went into this, and I appreciate the world building this contributed to for good old Donkey Kong. I have always loved the Donkey Kong Country aesthetic and the world, stories, and games within it, so I am a great appreciator of this piece of media. I enjoy its unique features and the rare, haha, nature of the film, and the series in general makes it even more appealing. I would love to hear about your thoughts or experiences that you've had with this film, the series, or just Donkey Kong Country in general in the comments down below. Please consider liking and subscribing. I talk about a lot of different media on my channel, mostly nostalgic things. But with that, thank you for watching and stay cool, everyone.